What is good, y'all? What is good, gang? It is your boy Nick B, man. D stands for billion, B stands for bond. It's Biz Nick, man. You already know who it is, man. So you're just gonna jump straight into it, man. This video is gonna be teaching you the language of consumer law, right? You know, some people call it quantum grammar, some people call it quantum language, right? Legal lease, so on and so forth. But what I'm gonna talk to you guys about today is really how the communication is between debt collectors and how you want to actually speak to them. Okay, because not only do you go and you have to use these forms to discharge your debt, you have to understand how to carry out the administrative process. And when you're actually getting letters or presentments from companies, you need to know how to be able to read them, how to be able to find those defects, and how to be able to decipher them. All right, this is going to be super important for the process because you will not get your debt discharged if you don't understand this language. All right, so before I dive into that, because I'm going to be giving you valuable information, if you haven't already, if you don't know me, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment. Say, look, man, this is my first time watching you, if this is your first time watching me on YouTube.
I need like 24 for the P, nigga, I don't do no love. I need like 10K for the back.
Okay, notice I said YouTube, not Instagram. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and just jump straight into it because I don't have a lot of time and I'm just trying to get this video out to you. So number one, the first thing that you want is you want the debt collector to mail their bill to you. All right, what they're gonna send you is they're gonna send you a bill statement, invoice, so on and so forth. You can look at this as what's called a presentment. They're gonna send you a presentment, and on this presentment is gonna have it's gonna look like English, but it's not English, right? It's a legal lease language, bank language, things of that nature, something that they're not adequately disclosing to you. And you want them to mail this bill to you because once they mail that bill to you, then that really starts where you can catch them up on their deception, their fraud, them being frivolous, because 99% of the presentments that are sent to you through the United States do not use English, right? So it is vital, right, that you have the debt collector send you the presentments by mail. Why? Because per the federal guidelines, it is unlawful to use the mail system to send documents that use fraudulent, fictitious, or deceptive language. So it's important that they mail it to you because you can actually hold them accountable for things that they mail to you. Not a phone call, not paperless billing, right? Remove that right now. Okay, because if you're in paperless billing, it's hard for you to hold them accountable on the it's hard for you to hold them accountable for what they are actually coming after you for, right? So you need evidence of them trying to commit fraud towards you. Okay, if you want to learn about that, go look at 18 USC 1001 statements or entries if you want to learn a little bit more about that, because they can be prosecuted for trying to deceive you. Okay, with their presentments, they must be clear and upfront and 100% transparent about what language they are using. Okay, they must be transparent about this stuff, or else you're trying to deceive me, right? If you're trying to get my money, if we're doing business together, why are you trying to deceive me? Why are you trying to give me any BS, right? So that's number one. Take it off paperless billing, because again, it's not even legal. You can't even hold them accountable on the law side if they don't even send you a letter. Okay. The second thing you want to do is you want to find defects in their presentments. So what do I mean? Finding defects, meaning like anything that it seems fraud or misrepresentations, any type of deception in their presentments is very simple to find, and what I would call it is a forensic evidence analysis, right? And by a process use quantum grammar, right? So those debt collectors will never provide you a dictionary of some sort, an index or tools, some type of legend, tell you what each of these words mean, right? So they're not going to provide that, all right? They want to leave it up to you to assume what it is that they're saying to you. So for example, on a presentment, if it says that you owe $10, right, and it has a dollar sign on it, do you know for sure what that dollar sign means? No, you don't, right? So it wouldn't hurt if you ask them. You want to know for sure what it is that they're asking you for. Same thing, if they say that you owe $385, right? You don't know what these numbers mean. You don't know what these symbols mean. Why? Because there is no legend to tell you what it is. They want you to assume what it is. That's the first step. They want you to assume what language they're speaking, because if you assume they're speaking in English, right? To you, $, 325, that looks like money that needs to be paid or money that should be coming to you, right? That just looks like some type of money, right? But the truth is you don't know what it is, right? You don't know what those symbols mean and how they're what they mean by what they wrote. You get what I'm saying? You don't know what their perspective is and how they want you to truly interpret it, right? Or how you're supposed to interpret it. You get what I'm saying? But that is a problem, right? They should be clear and conspicuous on what they want from you in their presentments. So that's fraud number one, okay? What the FDCPA allows you to do, it allows you to reach out to the debt collectors and ask them what language they're speaking, okay? I bet you didn't even know that. And if for any reason the debt collector is unable to respond back to that letter of you asking them what language are you speaking, can you provide some type of legend so I can understand what this letter is, you don't have to pay the debt, because the FDCPA requires them to respond back no matter what it is. Because if the FDCPA says, hey, you can go ahead and ask them what language they're speaking, they are required to respond, okay? That is their duty, okay? So it is vital that you always have these companies mail their presentments to you so that you can find the defects where they are trying to commit some type of fiction or fraud or trying to deceive you. You go ahead and you highlight that stuff in red, you send it back to them, you ask them, what language is this? You get what I'm saying? And I'm just using this as an example, right? But I want you to apply this to any debt collector, anybody who is mailing you something saying you have an obligation, you can use the same exact method. All right. The purpose of you doing this is because it protects you, right? It covers your ass at the end of the day. Excuse my French. If you cover your ass when it comes to your debts and you have the evidence that backs up that you actually trying to move in good faith, it is nothing they can do when it comes to you challenging your debt. They must comply, right? And they can't give you a BS response or a lack of response, or they'll be violating the law itself. So I'll give you an example of what your letter should say, right? Or the language or the jargon, right? What you are literally asking. You look at these, credit repair letters, things of that nature, and we don't understand what it's asking, right? So I wrote this down real quick. So you would simply write the debt collector and say something like, hi, I want to get this matter settled as soon as possible. But to do that, I need to have more clarity on what the presentment is actually saying, what language you are using, what dictionary are you using, what system of grammar are you using, and please provide a legend so I can comprehend the symbols on your presentment. As a consumer, I'm asking you a direct question and I want a direct response. I'm not saying I'm not going to pay the debt. I'm not saying that it isn't my obligation. I'm just asking you a clear and conspicuous question, a direct question that I can ask as a consumer and you must answer, okay? So that will be typically that first part of any debt collection, right? And when I say any, I mean everything, no restrictions, right? You can challenge any debt collector on the language that they are speaking. And if they're unable to do that, you don't have to pay the debt. You get what I'm saying? So you actually doing this is literally a setup, right? For them to violate you, because they're going to violate you, because when you ask these direct questions, they walk themselves in to a corner, okay? Boom. So now you have sent them that letter, right? They may or may not respond, okay? But, this right here will initiate the 3-letter administrative process, okay? So the administrative process in layman's terms is the process of you responding in writing to the debt collector, okay? The administrative process is the process of you writing to a debt collector based on the offer that they sent you, okay? You are responding to a debt collector's offer to a contract, all right? Whenever a presentment of any kind arrives in, let's say, in your mailbox, it's considered an offer, but same to them, okay? By not responding to the offer that arrives to your mailbox, you are actually tacit agreeing to it, right? What is tacit agreement? It's like acquiescing, right? You literally are agreeing because you didn't respond. That's a tacit agreement and something you should never do. Meaning, if you're getting a letter from anybody, you should open it and read it. Some of us are scared to open it up, and this is actually making you agree to whatever terms they are saying. You get what I'm saying? Now, the administrative process is the process of you mailing 3 letters in connection to the debt or communicating to the debt collector asking for a couple things. One, a correction from all the defects from your original forensic analysis when you went and you looked at the bill statements and you found your defects, you sent it to them. So one, you want them to correct that, send you whatever that dictionary or legend information, right? And the second thing you want to do is validate the debt, right? Using the FDCPA, right? According to the FDCPA, you can validate the debt. So there's 2 things you want to ask, especially in that first letter, all right? And if for any reason they fail to respond, they are actually tacitly agreeing to your terms. It doesn't matter the situation, right? And this is why we win so much, just to kind of fast forward, because, companies fail to respond when they need to. So when you go in court and you say, I sent this letter, they did not respond, they agreed to it, what can they say? They can't say anything, okay? And so typically that first letter that you would send in your administrative process is a conditional acceptance offer, right? Where you're literally asking and you're saying, hi, debt collector, I'm agreeing that I owe you money, but only on the condition that you fix the defects in your claim and provide proper validation and verification of your claim that I owe you money, okay? Look, I am agreeing that I owe you money, but only if you can show me that I owe you. It's as simple as that. I'm conditionally accepting this offer if you can prove I owe you. You get what I'm saying? Nowhere, shape, or form are saying I am not agreeing or I will not pay this, but I'm asking you a simple question so that I can get this matter settled, right? For anybody that's moving in good faith or any company that's moving in good faith, this shouldn't be a problem, right? If I actually owe you something, you know what I'm saying? Now, one thing I want to add is the reason why there's defects in their presentment is because they're a dead entity. LLCs, corporations, they are a piece of paper. They're not living, right? But you are living. And because you're living, you can actually flip the script and start speaking in a living language. And, given the fact that they're a dead entity, they can't really speak back to a living entity. You know what I mean? Or a living man or woman, right? So obviously, when you think of the live versus the dead, who's supposed to win in that case? Who has more authority? Who has more power, right? So you have a right to request to make contract in a living language. Debt collectors are not actually alive, so they possess no way to communicate in a living language, right? This is why they will always fail when it comes to this, and it means that they have no ability to fix their defects, right? Because they can't fix their defects, it's an easy win. So a part of your letter, you're going to say, hey, if you don't mail me a corrected presentment in the next 10 days, then you have violated me, or I owe you nothing, right? I'm being clear and conspicuous and telling you, hey, look, if I send you this and you don't send me nothing back, I owe you nothing. But if you can prove that I owe you, okay, we're all good and dandy. You show me the proof, we're good. But if you can't show me the proof, I owe you nothing. It's just as simple as that. I'm saying, I hope I'm saying this pretty clear for you. Now, right off the bat, because they can't respond to your conditional acceptance or that first letter in a proper way or fix any of those defects, right? They are, dishonoring you. And by default, you owe them nothing, right? You see how by default, all I did was send one letter and now I can literally fight that they don't owe me any, or that I don't owe them anything because you didn't respond to my letter when I told you to correct your presentments. I sent you an offer that you must perform on, and you didn't perform on that correctly. You get what I'm saying? So, but you have to remember, this is a full administrative process, okay? In order for you to actually reach the results that you want, you have to understand that this is a full process. That one letter is not going to fix your problem, all right? Now, you can also include a letter. It's called an affidavit of truth, affidavit of life. Some people call it a live life claim. You can look up these templates online. A live life claim is essentially, saying that, hey, look, I'm a competent person, competent man or woman, I'm living, right? And you will register this with the post office because this system is about contracting, right? And, the dead, cannot make a contract, right? This entire public system is about contracting. Okay, so if you are dead, you have no lawful authority to even create a contract. You get what I'm saying? Or even contract, right? So essentially, you are giving, when you do this live life claim, you're giving notice to the entire world that you are living, you are a competent person, and you can carry out these things yourself. You don't need an attorney or lawyer, right? If you are a dead entity or if you're a business, yes, you need representation, but if you're living, nobody needs to represent you, right? I just want you to just think, if I'm dead, somebody who's alive will have to speak on my behalf. You get what I'm saying? So it's very simple, right? Or it's very simple, but they want you to think it's so complex, right? The reason why people have attorneys is because they are considered dead entities in the eyes of the law until you let them know that you're not dead. And that's what that live life claim would do once you register it. Now, the second thing you'll do, right, is, let's just say they continue to not comply. The second thing you'll do is you'll mail your second letter of the administrative process, which is a fault and dishonor letter, an opportunity to cure letter. All right. Now, this is how the letter goes. It goes a little bit like this. It's basically saying, hey, Mr. Debt Collector, right? It is in my intention to get this matter settled as soon as possible. However, it's been 10 days. Right? And I have not received your corrected presentment, nor have I received you validate the debt. Okay? And as a result, you have faulted. And I am giving you the chance to cure and make things right by doing all requested in my conditional acceptance of claim letter. And I'm giving you an additional 10 days to respond, or I will have you default. Right? So I'm saying, hey, look, in case it was a foresight, in case you missed that, right, I'm giving you another opportunity to go ahead and correct that, or you will have defaulted, right? I'm being clear. I'm telling you what it is. Now I am making the terms now, okay? And that's something that you would mail, which would be the second letter. If they don't respond after the 10 days, 30 days, I say rule of thumb, give them about 30 days, right? But let's just say it's a debt collector that you've been reaching out to. You can give them 10 days. Right? 10 days is an ample amount of time for someone to read it, for it to get to them, for someone to read it, and for them to send it back. Right? If they're moving in good faith, it shouldn't be a problem. After that, you give them an additional 10 days to respond and perform on your terms. Right? Remember the terms being, hey, fix the defects in the presentment, tell me the language that you're speaking, and validate the debt, prove that the debt is real. Okay? So that'll be the second letter of the administrative process. Right? Understanding the sequence between, your first letter to what you need to say in the second letter, going on to the third level is super important because you can't keep sending the same letter saying, hey, I want you to validate the debt, saying the same language, right? Saying the same thing, not being specific in what you want them to do. If you're not going to be specific, this is where you're going to run into those problems, right? You keep sending hey, I want you to validate the debt with the same template. You send it 3 times thinking you're going to get results. You're not going to get results if you're not taking them through a sequence and telling a story. See, your fault dishonor letter also lays out the facts. You're going to lay out the facts and you're going to say, hey, I sent this letter. I got this, I got this accepted by the IRS, or I attempted to validate the debt on this date, right? You sent me this letter, or you did not send me this letter, or you responded insufficiently on this date. I received your letter on this date with an insufficient response, right? A part of that fault and dishonor, you are laying out the facts and also enclosing any other extra documents that you have, right? And the last thing, now the last step of the administrative process is when you have them default, right? You sent them 2 letters, right? Trying to settle the matter. Either they responded and either they didn't respond or they give you a lack of response to both of your letters, and they have defaulted, right? They have dishonored you. They have defaulted it in dishonor. And this is when you stop and cease your debt collection. So here's how the letter will go, or here's the jargon and the language or how you would speak when it comes to that letter. In this letter, you're basically saying to the debt collector, hey, dear Mr. Debt Collector, as you can see, By my 2 previous letters, I have done all I can to settle this debt. However, by your non-response, you have established a contract with me that says I owe you nothing. Okay? Per the terms and conditions, I clearly spelled out in my conditional acceptance of claim letter. Also, Mr. Debt Collector, per the terms and conditions of my first letter, please find the enclosed invoice that you also agreed to pay. Within 10 business days, please pay the invoice at the address on the invoice and set my account balance to 0. If I have not received your payment within 10 days, I will pursue this matter in court. All right? Very simple. I'm telling you, if you cannot, since you already owe me, or since you ignored my first 2 presentments, you agreed that I owe you nothing, right? Because you couldn't prove that I owed you something. And now I'm asking you I've created an invoice for you. Some people create an invoice, right, in the terms, and have them pay that for the time they spent, wasted, this, that, and the third. So now you have to pay this invoice because you have defaulted. And if you don't set my balance to 0 after all of this matter is settled, right, within 10 days, I will go ahead and pursue this in court. This is what a default notice is saying. It's literally the end, right? Look, you defaulted. If you don't do this, I'm taking you to court. There's nothing you can do at this point. You have already defaulted. So I'm taking you to court. All right? Now, before you file your claim, you kind of want to send them a letter, notice of pending lawsuit, right? Or intent to litigate. You want to let them know that, hey, I'm willing to take this to court, right? So this is kind of like the 4th letter, right? And usually with this 4th letter, you would hope that their response is them attempting to settle, okay? So again, with a notice of like a pending lawsuit or a litigation, this is really the letter for the judge, right? The judge is going to see that you attempted to get this matter settled, and you are laying out all the facts and why you are taking them to court. They should know why you're taking them to court. Now, obviously, you send this to them, but this is really for them, because when you get to court and you lay out all your evidence, you lay out all your facts, they're going to, that's going to be an important piece, right? That you told them that, hey, I'm willing to take you to court. You are still moving in good faith by giving them another opportunity. You get what I'm saying? But this is really for the courtroom, all right? Essentially saying, look, I'm working so hard to do the right thing. I'm trying to pay my debt, but the debt collector the debt collector is not cooperating, right? So the debt collector looks bad on this end, because now I laid out me trying to do everything that I could in my power, and you still, you know what I mean? They're still trying to BS me. So you're painting a picture that, hey, this is like the last resort. I'm willing, this is my last resort. I've tried everything, and this is where I'm at right now. I need your help, judge, right? To help me get this matter settled, right? Now, if based off that letter, okay, they do not pay or settle, you file a small claims case, or you send them to arbitration. You know what I'm saying? Take them to court. Go the distance. Take them to arbitration, right? Arbitration costs about $225 for the consumer and over 3 bands for the business, right? Imagine if the debt was only $1,000. Imagine the debt was only $200, $300. They're not going to come out their pocket for $3,500 or $3,000 around that if the debt is less than that. So they're just going to throw the case out. They're going to let you have it. You get what I'm saying? Because it would cost them more money for them to fight you in court than them just letting you have it. You get what I'm saying? Now, obviously, the bigger the bill, the harder it is. The bigger the bill, the harder it is. You know, the more it's going to be to actually challenge that corporation. But at the end of the day, it's nothing they can do. If they're not trying to settle and you sent them everything, they probably are thinking you're some type of crazy person. They probably thinking that you're not really about what you're about to do. You're not actually going to take them to court. And this is what you want, right? Because that debt collector is being arrogant. That debt collector is being smart or thinks he's better than you. And at the end of the day, when you have your facts and you're able to show them that, hey, look, man, you do everything that you need to do, you kind of want them, you want them to think that you're dumb. You want them to think that you don't know what you're talking about. Because, again, this is how they mess up. right? They do less research. They don't pay attention to your presentments. They ignore them. And when you go to court and you say that you was ignored, willfully neglected, you try to, fix the matter. They didn't respond. They neglected you. They kept sending you bill statements as if you didn't send them a letter to contact them about the bill. They are writing their own grave. They're digging their own grave. Okay? So if you do all of this correctly, you should be able to go in court and demand for judgment, right? Because you have all your evidence, okay? Of you sending your letter, attempting to move in good faith. Them also communicating to you, right? Or continuously sending you fraudulent things or misrepresenting, right? Or continue to send you defective materials. You get what I'm saying? You're going to have evidence of you sending a letter, giving them an opportunity to cure, them still not responding. Right? Them agreeing by not responding. Okay, you're gonna submit that, hey, this is my default letter. This is my default notice. Right? Where I told them they defaulted and I said I didn't owe them anything. And they still didn't respond. Right? Or they still neglected that letter. You get what I'm saying? Because they've already defaulted and it says they owe X amount of dollars. Or that I owe nothing. Right? And they must pay this invoice. If you decide to invoice them, right? You're going to give them terms in your default notice. And if they don't do that, they are not performing on that contract. You get what I'm saying? So they're putting themselves in violation. If you know anything about the FDCPA guidelines, they are required to follow these steps and cooperate, especially if you're communicating with them in this way, right? This is the full administrative process, right? From step A, where you're sending them a letter, right? Maybe asking them the language, maybe validating the debt, to you sending them a fault and dishonor letter, right? Giving them an opportunity to cure, literally giving them a second chance to look at the presentment and look at what you're asking them for and for them to actually comply, okay? A lack of response or no response is them agreeing to the terms, right? Or violating your rights. It's called tacit agreement. Right? FDCPA guidelines protects you in event you're trying to communicate with a debt collector about a debt and they are neglecting you. If you get neglected, I don't care what type of debt that you have. It could be a mortgage, an auto loan, so on and so forth. If they do not follow the FDCPA when it comes to communication, you don't owe them anything. I haven't even talked about 1099. I haven't talked about debt collections I haven't talked about coupon remittance and so on and so forth. You can get your stuff removed just by understanding the language behind the admin process, right? And the reason why I tell you to learn this, and if you need to go back and watch this video, I tell you to learn this stuff because at the end of the day, even if you use the discharge method that I teach, you're going to have to go back and know this language so that if they are sending you presentments, right, and they have defects in their presentments, you're going to be good on your end because you'll know how to read it. You'll know how to understand it. You get what I'm saying? You can't hope to, scratch a form and it's just going to just disappear, or hope that you're going to send a couple forms in, be private, and never have to pay a bill again, right? If you still want to move in a commercial capacity, you must learn the administrative process, right? If you want to be able to get the fruits and the benefits of credit, you must learn the administrative process so that not only you getting rid of your debt, but also at the same time, you're able to maybe fix your consumer reports. You have a good consumer report, you can go and get funded. You can't get funded if you move in a private capacity. You can, it would just be other ways and other outlets to do it. But for what you know right now, boom, you have good consumer reports, you can go to the bank and get funded, right? This is how you access that money in a trust. All right? So, let me see if there's anything else I want to talk to y'all about. I'll tell you what I want you guys to do. You know what I mean? First things first, man. You make sure you're getting everything certified and notarized, right? You need to have a witness of all your exhibits and evidence. Second thing you need, I want you to understand that this process is very familiar. Debt collectors do it to you, right? Use the same exact process on them, okay? When they come and they repossess your car, they're doing the same thing. When they come and foreclose on a home, they're sending you multiple letters, having you respond, you not responding, you agreeing to their terms, so on and so forth. Next thing you know, you have no home. You get what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, learn the administrative process, learn the language, okay? And what I have for those of you guys that got to the end of this video, down below, I'm gonna have some things down there that's gonna help you to kind of learn the language. You know, essentially what I'm looking at right now is my guide on how to be able to use quantum language to be able to get out of debt. So that will be linked down below. You can go ahead and take advantage of that. And the second thing is, you know, my program. Okay, if you want to join the complete debt guide, it's going to be down below as well. Or if you want to join one of my live classes, they are free live classes. They'll be down below. Secondly, like, comment, and subscribe. If you got all the way to the end, if you gained any value, if you understood, if this helps you come to an understanding about debt collections and things in that nature, leave a follow, subscribe, and look at all my pages, right? I give valuable information on a daily basis. I'm posting on a daily basis. Maybe not on YouTube, but on Instagram, on TikTok. Okay, connect with me, join the community. All right? Appreciate you guys, and I'm out.